To some it was a pleasant surprise, but to others, disappointing news. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Islamic Republic of Iran are set to normalize ties.
Independent Islamic Republic.
The most important thing you need to know about here is that the normalization happened due to the Chinese. It was China who sponsored it. All concluded behind closed doors in Beijing when Iranian President Raisi was out there last month. The Chinese leader Xi Jinping also raised the idea of talks during a state visit to Riyadh last year, if you remember, back in December last year. So things have been happening for a while in the background. The deal, if it lasts long, will definitely bring stability to West Asia. Iran has pledged to end direct and indirect attacks on Saudi Arabia, and the Saudis have promised to end their carpet bombing campaign against the Houthis of Yemen. Both countries are said to reopen their embassies and consulates within 2 months and have agreed that their foreign ministers will hold a summit soon to work out the details.
Reconciliation between old enemies.
A declaration signed by our kingdom, Iran and China.
On West Asia's chessboard, this spectacular move of the Saudi reigning prince, Mohammed bin Salman, has important consequences. China is growing its muscles and becoming a diplomatic actor to be reckoned with, and all this is happening in West Asia, where the United States of America used to make rain and shine. The Chinese move was predictable, to be honest, because China had already set out to counter American influence by massively buying oil from Iran, which obviously reduces the scope of American sanctions. It's like history repeating again, repeating the days of Cold War, where two world powers, and this time China and the United States, are building rival regional alliances.
We made clear, and I made in my personal conversations, which have been many, with President Xi, that we seek competition, not conflict.
So how do the Americans feel about all this? Well, apparently the Americans were kept informed of the talks by Saudi Arabia, so we can assume the American influence is diminishing on the Saudi front. The Americans also accept the exit of Saudi Arabia from its zone of influence, and they have to, because remember, Saudi Arabia wanted absolute protection from the United States, the promise of the United States to engage militarily in the event of war with Iran, support for the creation of a civilian nuclear industry, but on both accounts, the Americans have backed out. The Americans are too wounded to engage militarily against Iran. It's not happening. And the evangelic Zionist alliance should stop dreaming about such a scenario, especially with normalization of ties between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Islamic Republic of Iran. For little Satan, Israel, this is a major diplomatic setback. The idea of an Arab-Israeli alliance against Iran is collapsing.
What I'll tell them, you want the sanctions lifted? Stop your nuclear program. Why do you need underground bunkers? Why do you need ICBMs? The sole purpose of ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, is to carry nuclear payloads. By the way, not to Israel, to Europe and to the United States. They already have missiles that reach Israel.
A peace deal has finally been struck. But peace takes more than signatures and handshakes. The world is talking about the Israel-UAE deal. Tonight we'll break it down for you. We'll discuss what it means for those involved, for the region.
So now the Abraham Accords should be called into question. Abraham Accords, which binds Israel to 4 Muslim countries, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Sudan and Morocco. The very foundation of the Abraham Accords was anti-Iranian. Israel was looking for allies in the Muslim world and fear-mongering about Iran. Today, the idea of Abraham Accords has truly been defeated. And that's not everything, folks. I believe now the Israelis will start questioning the willingness of the United States to ensure their security out there too. It goes without saying, the American refusal to ensure the security of Saudi Arabia is a global refusal to wage a new war in West Asia. Refusing to get involved militarily in West Asia can also mean letting go of Israel in the event of open conflict with Iran. But Israel is not completely out of the picture, sadly. Saudi Arabia still shares Israeli concerns about Iran's nuclear program, and Saudi is in talks with Israel to normalize ties. After all, Saudi airspace is still open for Israeli aircrafts, and both the Saudis and the Israelis continue to share intelligence. Whether Sunni and Shia rivalry will end, it's too early to say, but for now, it's certainly good news to see Americans lose influence and the Abraham Accords fall flat on its face.
Independent Islamic Republic.
His Excellency President Ali.
I leave you with the Holy Grand Quran. Let not the animosity of a people prevent you from justice, rather be just. It's closer to taqwa. It's time to end pointless, useless wars. These wars neither have a clear beginning nor a clear end. Too many Sunnis and Shias and people of all faith, and none have suffered. It's time to end this stupidity. If you continue fighting, then you'll see after a few years of destruction, there was no real reason to fight. Like Saddam did for 8 years against Iran, the Saudis supported him along with the Americans. But did the borders of Iraq and the borders of Iran change? No, but millions and millions of people died. My brothers, please, we really must take note, hold ourselves accountable. We ask God Almighty for all Muslims, and specifically the Sunnis and Shias, that He guides them towards the essentials, towards understanding the main obligations of Islam. We ask Allah to distance their hearts from hatred, love of expansion, worldly pursuits and sectarianism, all of which are from Satan and from darkness. We ask Allah to cleanse and to guide all of us to cooperate in righteousness and taqwa, and not cooperate in sin and aggression. Thanks for listening. Assalamu alaikum, Sat Sri Akal, Shalom Aleichem, Adios, Namaskar, and have a wonderful night.
Independent Islamic Republic.